Are you following mainstream diet advice like just cutting calories but find you're still gaining belly fat? In this video, I'm going to share with you changes I made in my diet to get and stay slim in my 50s faster and easier than I ever imagined. Let me start with number one and probably my biggest challenge, cutting out sugar. I've always had a sweet tooth. I used to crave chocolate bars, cookies, and go through a huge bar of chocolate on the weekend. It wasn't just an occasional treat, it was a daily habit. In fact, I even had a secret stash of chocolate in my car's glove box. At the time, I knew it wasn't ideal, but I never thought it was doing that much harm. But what I didn't realise, what truly shocked me, was how much my sugar intake was wreaking havoc on my hormones, which were already affected during menopause. And during menopause, our hormones are in a delicate state. Estrogen levels drop, insulin sensitivity decreases, and our body becomes much more reactive to blood sugar spikes. That means even small amounts of sugar can trigger bigger crashes in energy, more intense cravings, and more fat storage, especially around the belly. Once I understood this, I made the decision to remove added sugars from my diet completely. And let me tell you, it was transformational. Within a few weeks, my energy levels skyrocketed. I wasn't dragging myself through the day anymore, and my cravings for sugar completely disappeared. The secret to making this change sustainable? First thing, empty your cupboards or your pantry of any sugary treats. Throw them in the bin. The second thing is to eat a whole food diet. This means foods with just one ingredient, like an egg, an avocado, a banana. They only have one ingredient in them. When you eat real unprocessed foods, you don't have to worry about hidden added sugars sneaking into your meals. It becomes so much easier to trust what you're putting into your body. If sugar has been your weak spot, like mine was, don't underestimate the power of removing it. The second shift I made, one that might sound shocking to you, was increasing the amount of fat in my diet. I know that probably sounds surprising. For years, we've been told that fat was the enemy, that it clogs your arteries, makes you gain weight, and should be avoided at all costs. And while unhealthy fats, like those found in deep fried foods, processed snacks and trans fat do cause problems, there's a whole category of fats that are essential for women going through menopause. And I'm talking about healthy fats, especially unsaturated fats and omega-3s. These are the fats that your body needs to function properly. They help balance hormones, support brain health, and provide energy, which is especially important as our hormones fluctuate and our energy levels crash. Once I began adding more healthy fats into my meals, I noticed I stayed fuller for longer, had more energy throughout the day, and most importantly, I stopped snacking between meals and at bedtime because my body was finally getting the fuel it needed. Some of my favourite sources of healthy fats include salmon, avocados, walnuts, olive oil. That said, even with healthy fats, portion control matters. Take olive oil, for example. It's incredibly calorie dense. Just 1 teaspoon can be enough to get the benefits without going overboard. And if you're wondering how to start adding these into your meals, it's simple. You can top your morning eggs with sliced avocado, swap your salad dressing for a drizzle of olive oil and lemon juice, or sprinkle a handful of walnuts over your dinner. And increasing your healthy fat intake to support your energy levels is a must, especially after the third change I made, and that was lowering my carbohydrate intake. And let me tell you, this single shift made a massive difference in my weight, my energy levels, and how I felt overall. Before I understood what really was going on with my body, my daily diet was what many people would call normal. But now I look back and it was incredibly carb heavy. My mornings started with toast or granola, lunch would be a sandwich, and dinner would be a big plate of pasta at least 4 times a week. Sound familiar? And sometimes I would skip lunch and graze snacks throughout the day. But here's the problem. When estrogen levels drop during menopause, this massively affects how our bodies handle carbohydrates. Our insulin sensitivity decreases, which means our bodies don't process sugars and starches as efficiently as they once did. Instead of being used for energy, excess carbs get stored as fat, especially around the belly area, which is the most stubborn and frustrating spot for so many of us. Once I understood this connection, it all made sense. I wasn't overeating, I was just eating in a way that no longer suited my body's needs. So I made the decision to transition to a lower carb diet, but I didn't go zero carbs. Instead, I focused on choosing healthier carbs and being mindful of my portion size. I eat carbs like fruits, like berries and apples, which are full of fibre and nutrients, vegetables and salads like cauliflower rice and tomatoes. What I cut out was the highly processed carbs, the white bread, sugary cereals, pasta, rice, and anything that left me feeling bloated or tired after. After doing this, I no longer had those afternoon crashes binges or overwhelming cravings, and my belly started to flatten and I started to feel so much happier. And if you're curious what a low-carb meal looks like, picture this: grilled salmon with some cauliflower rice, topped with some greens and a handful of cherry tomatoes. And the best part, you don't have to figure any of this out on your own. Inside my program, The Lady Change, I've created full, done-for-you meal plans packed with delicious, nourishing meals that are just designed specifically for women in midlife and menopause. You'll know exactly what to eat for every meal of the day, so there's zero guesswork and no more stress. You don't have to do this alone, and you don't have to sacrifice food you enjoy to get results, so let's do it together. And now I've saved the most single important change I made to my diet till the last. I truly believe this is the number one reason I've been able to stay slim and strong and energized through menopause and beyond, is eating more protein. Through all my research, one thing became crystal clear: protein is the game changer for women in midlife. As we age, particularly after 40, our bodies naturally start to lose muscle mass. This process is called sarcopenia. Now, here's why that matters. Muscle isn't just about looking toned. Muscle burns calories for energy, even while you're sitting on the couch. So if we carry on eating the same amount of food and we're losing muscle, we're not going to burn off the same amount of calories as we used to, making it easier to gain weight, especially around the belly, and much harder to lose it. But the good news is we can fix this. The two most powerful tools we have to protect and rebuild our muscles are strength training and eating enough protein. And once I understood this, I started making protein the number one priority of every meal. I set myself a simple target around 100 grams of protein per day, split across 3 meals. That's roughly 30 to 35 grams per meal, and a bit more if you can. And honestly, it's much easier to hit than you might think. For example, here's what a typical high protein day looks like for me. Breakfast, 3 scrambled eggs with spinach and some cottage cheese. Lunch, grilled chicken breast salad with avocado, olive oil and some sunflower seeds. And dinner, a fillet of salmon or baked tofu if you're vegetarian, with roasted veggies and cauliflower rice. Once I made this shift, the results were amazing. I felt fuller for longer and I had started to notice visible changes in my body. I became leaner, stronger, and my belly started shrinking without starving myself or cutting calories too drastically. Prioritizing protein was the best diet shift I made, and if you do just one thing after watching this video, let it be this. So these are the 3 effective changes I made to my diet, and I can honestly say they transformed not just my body but my energy, my confidence and entire relationship with food. And the best part, these aren't extreme or complicated changes. They're simple, sustainable, and they really work, especially for women going through menopause. I've since shared these same strategies with thousands of women in my community, and I've seen incredible results. We're talking about women who'd been struggling for years, suddenly dropping inches from their waist, feeling lighter, stronger, and more in control of their bodies again. You don't have to overhaul your entire diet overnight. You can start small, pick one change, implement it this week, and build from there. The most important thing is to just start. Now that you know exactly what to eat to lose weight and feel amazing, you're probably wondering what exercise actually worked to flatten the belly during menopause.